So the key is to actually be persistent. So yes, we can have products, we can create awareness, but I believe that one message to the entire population doesn't really work. Flooding within cities was happening due to heavy rainfall. I think 2 years ago, we saw heavy rainfall in Dubai, for example, in the UAE, and that caused a lot of damage. So climate change is a reality. We know that it's happening. The economic impact of a conflict, whether direct or indirect, has an impact on all the businesses happening in a certain market.
Okay, Muhammad Ali, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. Thank you so much for being in my platform. I think I'm going to spend the whole episode thanking you. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, Ashfaq. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I remember the first time I met you was during the Society of Actuary regional conference back in 2023, which was in Riyadh. Was it your first time to be in Riyadh that time?
So I had come to Riyadh about 15 years ago.
Okay.
And when I came last year, this was a very different Riyadh compared to what
How
I had
did you
seen.
find it?
I found it to be more fast-paced, I would say more modern in terms of the infrastructure and a happening place, I would say. A lot of things are happening, especially with the kingdom's 2030 vision. I think I could see a lot of things happening on ground as well.
How much the country changed in your eye since then? I'm sure you have been in other cities in Saudi Arabia. So every time you visit the kingdom, how things are moving, how things are changing.
I see a lot of energy, a lot of positivity. I obviously see a modernization of the kingdom as well. I see sectors opening up. I see ease of business. I think that's a direction which the kingdom is going in. And when I visited for the Society of Actuaries conference, the kind of participation I saw and the gender diversity I saw during the conference, I think that was very heartening to see. So all of these are positive signs, definitely.
Yep, I totally agree with you. When I met you during the conference, you were part of the CEO panel. And that time, when you talk about actuaries and how it is important for actuaries to build and improve their communication skills, I said, okay, we have someone who really understands the actuaries. And when I dig deep into your profile, I found we have someone who's coming from actuarial background. Being a CEO with actuarial background is something not common in our region. This takes me to important question. What inspired you to become an actuary?
So this is like many actuaries today and many students, actual students, this was something that was not in my list of professions to begin. And I'm talking about 3 decades ago, actually. So it's a long time ago. And I wanted to be either an electronic engineer or a computer engineer, computer software engineer. And that's the whole track that I had studied for, and I wanted to go into an appropriate university. And out of the blue, I saw this advertisement for students who were good in mathematics, who had a logical mindset, and the public sector insurance organization was looking for such students to join their actual training scheme. And just out of interest, I went, gave the test, passed the test. I gave the interview, I passed the interview. And I remember out of around 400 candidates who had applied for those positions, I was one of the 8 who were selected. Oh. And I think the charm at that point, I was only, I think 18, 19 years old at that point in time. And the charm definitely for a young individual at that point was definitely the financial aspect, I would say, was one of the charms. But then again, going into a profession where things which I like mathematics, for example, I was good at it. I thought I could perhaps utilize it in this profession in a better way. And for the first few years, just studying for the exams and passing exams in the first attempt that itself was a big motivation to continue on this path. So I gave up the dream of becoming an engineer.
Engineering.
Exactly. And I moved into this. And I think if I was given another chance back in life, I would still choose this path because this has been a rewarding path in many, many ways. And today, when I sit back and look at my career, I think these are those pivotal points in life when you take a decision. You take a leap of faith, actually, not knowing what would happen, what is going to come later on. But I think things worked out for me, so I'm happy on that. Yep.
Okay, interesting to hear that. Let's now move to your early career and becoming an actuary. I know you are associate of the Society of Actuaries, and we both know the journey to qualify as ASA or FSA is not an easy one. So
Yes.
it's demanding process. You have to pass many exams. You have to study for long hours while you are doing a full-time position. So what were the biggest challenges you faced while qualifying?
So I think the challenges that a student today faces, which is
Yeah.
balancing the progress in exams with
Mhm.
the workload, and at times students in the early career, early stage as well, need to give long hours to the work. It all depends whether you are in a consulting role, whether you are in the insurance sector, for example, working in an insurance company. But still, balancing. I think the balancing act has to be done in a way that exam progress continues well. At the same time, the performance at work also continues well. And even when I was giving exams, this was the biggest, I would say, the balancing act which I had to do. At times, work would take precedence over exams, and at times exams would suffer. But closer to the exam dates, uh, we used to get days off from work. So, those were days when one would study for like 12 hours a day because the course had to be completed, practice exams had to be done. And I think it's not very different right now as well, even though technology plays a bigger role in the life of a actual student today, where a lot of tools are available, technology based tools are available, which a few decades ago were not really available. But again, I think the journey is still very much the same. It's about just creating the balance between the two sides of life, and also being persistent, because I have never met an actuary who has never failed an exam. Everyone has failed their exams once at least, and at times, this becomes demotivating for, especially for young individuals. So the key is to actually be persistent, to still go and give a second attempt, and if needed, a third attempt as well. Because if you really want to pursue this career, you will pass and you will eventually qualify. So for me, these were those areas where I had to create a balance, and I had to move forward in my journey of passing exams, and also do well at works, because the career progression at work was also very important.
I totally agree with you. So why you didn't pursue your fellowship? It is again.
So exactly, and so I did realize at one point in time that there were areas which interested me more. Like I wanted to have a front facing role. I would put it that way. And even in the last decade or 2 decades, the actuarial profession has really moved. The actuarial bodies have um, added new flavors to the whole path of an actuary, from starting as a student to qualifying. But I did realize that there were areas, front facing areas, while I was working, where I realized I wanted to put in more time. And from moving from a specialist in a certain area to, I would say, becoming a generalist, where and then those 10, 15 years of my career, actually I went into multiple areas within the organization. So I would say that my career progression and my focus on developing my career into a more general management role, uh, I thought I should give more priority to that, and hence I went into that direction. Also, I feel that for me to become a CEO at this point in time, all of the efforts I made to show interest in a lot of other areas other than the technical side of things has really helped me. to groom me to come to a level where I can be leading a large financial services organization in Pakistan. So that's how I sort of pivoted at a certain point in time, and I decided that I needed to actually go into a general management role, and that's really worked out for me over the last decade or the last 15 years, I would say.
Okay, you mentioned if we think back to the early days of the actuarial profession, we have seen significant changes not only on the qualification system, but also on the sector where actuaries work on. How has the actuarial profession evolved over years, globally and in our region?
Definitely, it has evolved. If you go back a few decades, the bulk of actuaries you would find limited into two or three areas. Like, for example, consulting side uh, and the insurance sector. And again, predominantly the life insurance sector. That's where most of the actuaries were working. And even when I started my career, these were the only two, I would say, options available. But with time, the actuarial bodies also realized that they needed to diversify. And also, we've seen, uh, apart from a fellow and an associate category, we've seen other designations also come in, like the SERA designation for the SOA, for example. And similarly, for the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries, they also have introduced additional mid-level qualifications where people can see achievements happening. So while all of that was happening, and the actuarial bodies also decided to make changes to their to the path, the examination path. At the same time, uh, there were openings in other areas. For example, banking. For example, in other parts of the financial sector, like asset management, actually started to venture into that. But then also non-traditional areas like social impact areas, and we see a lot of actuaries now today working in social impact areas, working in the United Nations, for example, working in economic development areas. This was something which was unheard of a few decades ago. So I see that diversification happening. And the latest diversification, which is happening in the last, I would say, 5 years, I think it's accelerated, is on the data side, on the data science side. Again, the Society of Actuaries, for example, has included aspects of data science in their examination process. And actuaries are, I think, best suited to play a significant role today and going forward into this evolving area of data science, and connected to this, eventually the AI area. Actuaries definitely have a big role to play. So the next 10 years, I see actuaries diversifying even further into these new technologies. I see actuaries actually being technology actuaries as well. And AI, again, is going to be one of the drivers where interest by actuaries is going to be seen. And, and whatever the examination process teaches us, applying all of that into these diverse areas is what I see in the next 5 to 10 years, definitely.
Looking at the actuarial or global actuaries body, we have two key actuarial societies. We have the Society of Actuaries and we have IFOA or the British Society of Actuary. How do you assess the involvement of the those societies in our region? We see both societies are competing here. They host conferences. They meet with employers. I would like to hear your thought around this.
So we have seen, I would say, deeper engagement of the Society of Actuaries and the IFOA, which was not there, I would say, a few years ago. Predominantly, the focus of the SOA had been the US market mainly. Maybe the Chinese market was there, but this part, the Middle East, Pakistan, for example, was a market where the SOA did not really have a footprint as such. So when a student entered or decided to enter the actuarial profession, they would ask actuaries around them whether they should go with the Society of Actuaries or the IFOA, and largely depended on what advice they were given by the actuaries and the students around them. So, for example, the organization I was part of, just by design, most of the students were the SOA students. So anyone new entering would automatically just take the SOA path. The Society of Actuaries on its own was not making an effort to actually market their brand in these markets. I think it's very similar for the Saudi market, for the Middle East market. What you've seen now is that the SOA, I would say more, is making a greater effort to be on ground. The SOA has committees which are focusing on the Middle East and the Pakistani market. They have a regional director who's looking after this market with a responsibility to grow the profession. We have on-ground events happening, just like you mentioned. The SOA conference in Riyadh was the first time it happened, and these are a lot of firsts which are happening and giving the president of the SOA visiting and being part of these events. So to the actuarial community on the ground, it is giving greater confidence that there is a presence and there is a deeper commitment of these institutions and societies to actually make a greater impact. In Pakistan, we see the Society of Actuaries engaging with employers, with educational institutions, trying to see if actuarial courses could be inculcated in already degree programs which institutions are offering, whether we can have an actuarial science degree program started in Pakistan. We also see now the IFOA taking, following in the footsteps of the SOA. The president-elect of IFOA was in Pakistan last year. He also visited our office, met with our actuarial team. So I think the on-ground engagement gives confidence to everyone that there is deeper commitment. And I think it's a very positive sign. And I hope that this greater commitment continues to happen. And the strength of the actuarial community, both for the SOA and the IFOA, keeps on increasing. Definitely, I see that happening.
Since we are establishing the Saudi or the Saudi Arabian Society of Actuary, in a few lines, I would like to hear your comment around the importance of having a robust local Society of Actuary.
It is definitely important because the local actuarial community needs a voice. Now, whether a local body is just, I would say, a collection of individuals and perhaps does knowledge sharing events and capacity building events, because to reach a point of being able to offer examinations of its own is a longer journey. But at least having a platform to give a voice to the actual community on the ground is a very important aspect. And then the local body can then connect with the SOA or the IFOA or any other international body to bring them on ground. So I think it's a great step for the Saudi market. For the Pakistani market, the Pakistan Society of Actuaries has been in existence for, I would say, at least 20 years now. And this body is recognized by the regulator. For example, the signing actuary has to be a member of the Pakistan Society of Actuaries, apart from being a credentialed actuary by the SOA or the IFOA or any other global institute. But the local body gives more structure to the efforts of the local community. So right from arranging workshops on technical matters, on engaging with other sectors like the banking sector, the asset management sector, the educational institutions, and also the regulator, of course. That again is a very important part. So I definitely see value in that because the local community needs a voice, needs a connecting point to the global institutions. And that's where the local body can play a significant part in capacity building as well, definitely.
Since we mentioned the revolution that we live in, we see how fast is the evolving of AI globally. And we are still in the learning phase, and what we see is just the iceberg. With the emerging of AI and other profession, how this will impact the actuarial profession? Do we expect to see fewer actuaries in the future, or more actuaries will be in demand? I would love to hear your take around this.
My view is that actuaries should make AI their best friend. I think this is the way to move forward because a lot of, I think you are a practicing actuary. I was a practicing actuary, but now obviously I have a different role in the organization. But we know that a lot of time was spent is spent on data analysis, for example, crunching numbers, trying to make sense of what the numbers tell us. A lot of time is spent just in that aspect. The point about making an opinion on the results and creating a judgment is the next step. So, what AI can do and is already doing actually for many actuaries globally, all the repetitive tasks, all the data crunching tasks, working on huge data sets, that's where the actuaries should be using AI to assist them, doing things faster, quicker, saving time, so that huge data sets can be summarized, converged, that the results can come to actuaries. And that's where the human aspect then starts to come in. The human actuary then tries to make sense of the numbers, brings in the human judgment, brings in the opinion, which at this point in time, I believe AI is not equipped to do. What happens 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road with artificial generative intelligence coming in, that could be a different ball game. But right now, I think actuaries need to make AI their best friend to help them do more, to help them do things faster. Also, AI and the advent of AI and the way AI is becoming part and parcel of our everyday life, actuaries will see that they will have to upskill themselves. As I mentioned earlier, that data science is one area, but that's a starting point. That's not really artificial intelligence. It is a path to take you to what AI can really do. But we could see actuaries who want to specialize in AI. For example, in 10 years' time or even earlier, the SOA or the IFOA might even have mandatory courses on AI as part of the education track, because that is something which is going to be a given. The world will not be able to operate without AI. So actuaries need to harness the power of AI to support them in whatever they're doing, to make them able to do it better, faster. But I do not see at this point in time, and even the next few years, I do not see replacement of human judgment uh, by AI at this point in time. So while AI is there to support us, to give us more power, we should harness it accordingly and make use of it to be better actuaries. I would put it that way.
Okay, let's turn now to your own career journey. From actuarial trainee at State Life to a CEO of one of the big insurance companies in Pakistan. You passed by key functions within the insurance company: actuarial, sales, marketing, investment, strategy. I will. What your key actuarial responsibilities that time, and what promoted you to take on broader business responsibilities?
So when I started my career, and for the first, I would say, the 10 years of my professional career, I did everything that an actuary would be working on. So, for example, reserving, pricing, product development, regulatory matters, reinsurance, all the technical stuff that we are taught in our progress through the exams. This is all that I did for the first, I would say, 10 to 12 years of my professional career. But then, being part of my current organization, when I joined this organization, and I saw that there were opportunities to do more, to learn more. And a lot of times when actuaries come to me and they ask me that how can they transition from being a technical expert to, let's say, a business professional. So one advice that I always give to them is that whenever they get an opportunity, they should experience sales and marketing. So when it actually designs a product, prices a product, brings it out into the market, they actually need to be part of the value chain to see how that product actually goes to certain market segments. What is the behavior of potential customers? I think that's a missing part that a lot of actuaries don't go through. So for me, when I started to get voluntarily, I opted for projects and opportunities where I was able to connect with the front end. I was able to connect with the sales people, the marketing people, and see what was happening in the market. And that really interested me, because designing a product, sitting in our office, working on an Excel worksheet, is great. We design it according to our assumptions. We make assumptions about what the market would look like, how the behavior of the customer would be, assumptions about, for example, lapses. Now, lapse is a behavior of a customer, and we have past data, we have lab studies, and we put those assumptions in our products and we design a product. But then, actually, how does a customer behave? So, as I said, the first 12 years of my career, I did exactly what an actuary would be doing, all the technical stuff. But the moment I started to get exposure of the front end, I realized that this is something that really interested me more. And then over a period of time, the next 8 to 10 years after that, my exposure on other broader areas, including technology, strategy, engaging with the board, uh, engaging with the marketing teams, marketing, branding, innovation. These were areas I started to show interest, and I was given opportunities to be part of all these areas. And that's when I realized that the discipline that I got while qualifying through my exams and the discipline that the whole examination process brings into you, that really helped me actually in a lot of these areas. And then basically I started to go on this career path of general management, and then eventually I was given enough opportunities to reach a point where I could lead a large financial institution.
Uh, okay. Here, for instance, what we keep hearing about actuaries, they are being too focused on technical details rather than seeing the big picture. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I would agree with that, because I think that's how the currently, even after the evolution of the examination process over the last 10 years, still actuaries are considered as technical experts. I think that's how it is defined. And I don't see anything wrong with that, because that's the need of a technical expert. So if we are experts in financial risk management, this is exactly what the profession is about. But what I would like to see is that the transition of an actuary, and as you rightly said, looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture can only be completed when actuaries start to volunteer for non-technical areas within their organization, where they start to connect the dots of how whatever they're doing, whether it's consulting. So, for example, let's say consulting. In a consulting, you could be an actuary who's a backroom actuary, who's excellent, excels in the technical aspects of things, but then is unable to actually meet clients, doesn't have that confidence to meet clients and communicate what technical work has been done. But the moment you're actually able to get that exposure of meeting clients and simplifying technical aspects into easily understandable concepts for your client, that's where your communication skill is coming in, and that's something that is transitioning you from a technical expert into someone who can communicate, and eventually into a business professional. So I think the way the examination process is designed, it is to make you a strong technical expert. Even though we've seen now communication aspects coming into the examination process, but still, I think it all comes down to individuals also, whether they volunteer, whether they themselves move out of their comfort zone, try to look at the bigger picture, try and volunteer for areas which are non-technical, and get a much more rounded exposure, which eventually over a period of time helps them become business professionals. I think that's what I keep on emphasizing to anyone who comes to me, especially young actuaries, that your goal should be to be a good technical expert, but evolve into a business professional. That is going to open greater opportunities for you. So, as a technical expert, maybe the pinnacle could be you could become a chief actuary, for example, of a company. But what if you want to become? Why just stop at that? Why would you not think to become a CEO of an organization? Now, for you to do that, that's where the transition has to happen in terms of mindset as well. That you need to look at yourself, groom yourself as a business professional. So I would like to see actuaries transition into something like a business professional, where they are more than just technical experts.
Okay, as a CEO of insurance company, How do you empower actuaries within your organization? What the key areas you focus on when you are engaging with them?
The approach I've taken is that, and again, this is connected to my experience also. As I said, I'm very happy with the way my career moved forward, and it is a gratifying experience. Had I just focused on the technical side of my profession, then I would not be here. I would not be sitting here. I probably would be a chief actuary of some organization, but not at a CEO level. Now, within our organization, we have a fairly large actuarial department by Pakistani standards. We have around 20 individuals. We have two fellows. We have, I would say, around 5 or 6 associate actuaries, a large number of student actuaries at various stages of their exams. And this actuarial department, apart from the technical responsibilities, which is necessary, so pricing, reserving, experience studies, reinsurance, IFRS 17, for example, is something that we're working on right now. So this is something that this department and the individuals of this department have to do because that's how the department has been created. But the senior members are then involved in aspects such as strategy development for the organization. And when I say strategy, I do not mean strategy related to technical areas only. This could be the distribution channel strategy, designing the compensation structure of the sales team, for example, working on expense levels across the organization, trying to find pockets of efficiency within the organization, working with the technology team to identify and to evaluate technology projects, for example, giving input in that. We have our actuaries part of the management committee. The management committee is a group of senior individuals who actually work on the strategy of the company, who work on executing strategy cross-functionally. And our actuarial colleagues are part of all of these committees. So whether it is operations of the company, whether it is technology, whether it is, as I mentioned, distribution channels, actuaries are given exposure across the organization because my belief is, and again, it comes from my own journey as an actuary to a business professional and eventually to a CEO, that I would like to see more actuaries having the bigger picture. And this is something that I keep on repeating, that unless people have the bigger picture, uh, they would not be able to add the value that we want them to add to an organization. And hence, we deliberately create opportunities where actuaries are made part of cross-functional groups. They're made part of cross-functional committees. They are given opportunities to go out and represent the organization in front of the regulator, for example. They are given opportunities to market the organization, because I believe everyone in the organization is a brand ambassador. So actuaries also play those kind of roles, and I think all of that helps our actuaries to, as I said, become business professionals. And this is, we need more business professionals who are technically qualified, because that really adds depth to the organization, and it provides a very good succession planning tool as well, because then we're not dependent on just a small number of individuals. We have a bigger pool of professionals who understand business vertically and horizontally, and that has benefited EFU life tremendously over the last many years, definitely.
Okay, before we move to the insurance business, if you had the opportunity to change one thing in the actuarial profession, what would it be?
I would say, I think the point I touched upon is that probably I would want the SOA or the IFOA, or let's say any other global actuarial body, to probably bring in aspects like innovation, uh, entrepreneurship, some of these aspects early on into the examination process. Now, I do understand these are not like technical actuarial aspects, but I would put them as softer aspects, which, uh, for a young individual, let's say 20-year-old or 22-year-old who's entered into the profession, rather than them waiting later on in their career to get exposure on these areas, I would think that perhaps these are areas where exposure should happen much earlier. So by the time they qualify, they actually have the mindset of an entrepreneur, for example. They have a mindset of innovation. So when they're designing products, even when they're reserving, they have been exposed to these other areas, which I'm calling softer areas, for example, where again the journey to be a better professional, a strategic, innovative business professional. I think that's the change I would like to see in the let's say the next 5 years, uh, to be brought into the examination process where we are able to create not just an actuary once person qualifies, we're able to create an actuary who is a strategic, innovative business leader. If we're able to do that, I think the profession overall elevates, and the role and the demand of actuaries is going to expand significantly into many, many other sectors and areas where right now actuaries do not consider going into. So I would probably think this is one area I would like to see change for the better and evolve over the next few years. And this will tremendously help the overall profession globally, I think so.
I totally agree with you. Every superstar has a turning point that changed the course of their career. What was the turning point that led you from the actuarial work to CEO of one of the big insurance companies?
Thank you, first of all, for calling me a superstar. No, in my journey, I think the point where I realized that I wanted to explore front-facing roles. I would put it that way. And the moment I got exposure to sales and marketing, and that's a totally different world compared to generally where actuaries work, which is the slightly on the side or the back room and doing technical stuff. Uh, and I'm talking about like 2 decades ago. This is exposure. When I started to get that exposure, I realized that I wanted to explore it more. And slowly and gradually, I started to enjoy all of that. And I realized at that point in time that I cannot be a backroom actuary. I cannot be a number cruncher, even though I've been trained on it. And I still love numbers. Even as a CEO, every day I have a lot of reports coming in about the organization. I still have to deal with numbers. But I think 12, 13 years down the road from starting point of my career to 12 or 13 years into the career, I realized that I needed to pivot. And I think that was a decision, that was the right decision I took. Of course, there were sacrifices made at that point in time. I had to put in a lot of time and effort to get into areas within the organization which were not my comfort zone. And I remember the conference in Riyadh, the CEO panel which I was part of, and I was asked the same question that, what advice would you give actuaries? And I said, look, uh, be comfortable to move out of your comfort zone. Unless you do that, you will not know what more is out there in the world. And for me, I realized that, midway through my career that I wanted to make that shift. If I'd waited a bit more longer, maybe I would have been so happy in my comfort zone of being only an actuary that I would not have explored anything beyond that. But I'm glad that I was given opportunities by my seniors at that point in time. And I was given exposure every 3 to 4 years. I was given a new exposure. For example, I've been in this organization for over 2 decades now, and people ask me that, why have you stayed with one organization for so long? It's not that I did not have opportunities within Pakistan or beyond Pakistan, but the fact that every 3 to 4 years I was getting a totally new exposure. I was There were new aspects being added to my roles and responsibility, so that kept my role very fresh. It was like getting a new job every 4 years. Uh, and I think that's really what helped me move to a point where I realized that this is the path I want to be on. So the defining moment was, I think, 12 or 13 years into my profession, I realized that I wanted to pivot into a more front-facing role, something that I enjoyed, and I think it's really given me the benefits of making that effort of moving out of my comfort zone, and hence today I'm able to be in this position at which I am right now.
Okay, what were the biggest challenges that you faced when you moved from technical expert to a strategic business leader?
I think the challenge of actuaries being labeled as technical experts, uh, and the challenge was that can a person, an individual who's an actuary who's been trained on technical aspects, can this individual add value in non-technical areas? And the initial few years were challenging to get acceptance from people around me that yes, actually I can add value. So yes, I've been through a process, a rigorous process of passing exams and getting technical knowledge. But because I'm voluntarily showing interest in other areas, I can definitely add value. The discipline that I've gone through of passing exams, getting the knowledge, I can apply those technical knowledge into diverse areas. So the initial few years were challenging to just get acceptance from non-actuaries, from people around within the organization that an actuary actually can play a role, can have diverse views, can add value to non-technical areas as well. But I think once that comfort level and confidence was created, uh, that the journey became much easier, and hence I was actually given opportunities into other many other areas which were non-technical, non-actuarial. But definitely the first few years to get acceptance as a technical expert who wants to transition into a general role within the organization, that's where there were challenges. Uh, but again, because I was interested in it and I was, I think, putting in extra effort to try and understand diverse perspectives of other people around me, that really helped me in the first couple of years of this transition that was happening to understand the language of what the language that other people around me were talking, which was totally a non-technical, non-actuarial language. And once I was able to do that, I think the confidence of people around me started to happen. And again, I think that journey became easier as time went by.
I know you like or you write articles, and I'm a big fan of your articles. I enjoy
Mhm.
reading them. In one of your articles, you highlighted that Pakistan's insurance penetration is among the lowest globally, around 1%. Okay. In Saudi, the penetration rate is improving year after year, supported by strong government initiatives. What lessons can we learn as emerging market from global markets in order to derive greater insurance adaptation?
Yes, Pakistan is one of the lowest. It's actually 0.9% if you include life and non-life together, which is one of the lowest in the world. Now, the advantage we have is the large population size, almost 250 million individuals. All of them have needs of insurance. What I think we need to do, and already the industry is working on it for quite some time, is awareness that keeps on coming up as the first impediment to growth. All of us are making efforts to reach out to all the segments which are available in the country, right from the individuals at the bottom of the socioeconomic pyramid, all the way up to the upper level, the high net worth and the ultra and high net worth individuals. Uh, I think an area that not only Pakistan, but even let's say the Saudi market, and I'm sure the Saudi market already is working on, is the right segmentation. So yes, we can have products, we can create awareness, but I believe that one message to the entire population doesn't really work. So if we are trying to create awareness about insurance and we're trying to give out the message of insurance, the messaging has to be different for each segment. So for example, in Pakistan, EFU Life has a significant portfolio on what we call micro insurance or inclusive insurance, which is insurance for the masses. And the messaging and communication that we use to create awareness in this segment is very different from the messaging and communication that we use at the middle income levels or the affluent level or the high net worth level, because the needs of all these segments are very different. And I think it'll be very similar in the Saudi market once the segmentation is done of the types of customers. The Saudi market, of course, is different because there's a large expat population. People from Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, Philippines, they all are contributing to the economy along with the local Saudis as well. So the segmentation could be on nationality, for example. The segmentation could be on I would say demographics. The segmentation could be on the generational segmentation could be there. So, for example, Gen Z's need for insurance is very, very different compared to the Gen X and the millennials, for example. In Pakistan, what you're trying to do is exactly that. The 0.9% penetration rate, I believe, will only move forward if we are able to talk to each segment in the language that the segment understands. We're able to create the awareness for insurance segment by segment. And then the solutions that we offer, whether these are life insurance solutions, these are long term savings products, health insurance solutions, they need to be tailored according to the needs of the segment. Once we do that, I think the penetration and the adoption of insurance will go up. And I can already see that happening. See that happening. My own organization, EFU Life, is on this direction. I see the industry also working on this direction, and I feel in the next 5 years, I'm confident the 0.9% penetration rate of Pakistan should reach something like 1.2 to 1.5%. Still low compared to regional comparisons or global comparisons, but still it's a step in the right direction. And as you mentioned, the Saudi uh, penetration rate is already above 2%, maybe largely driven by the health insurance side, maybe the motor insurance side. But I feel there's still room for long-term savings, life insurance, which is still a smaller percentage of the overall insurance sector, and also focusing on the needs of different nationalities, because people of different nationalities have different needs and different behaviors in terms of how they view financial planning solutions. If we're able to do some of these things, I see regionally the insurance penetration rate improving and going closer to more advanced markets over the next 5 to 10 years. That's my view on this.
Okay, what role insurers, regulators, and other stakeholders can play here?
They have a very, very important role. And I think in every market where we've seen the regulator, especially, taking an approach of, I would say, developing a market. So a regulator can have an approach of just regulating the market, but a regulator can also have the approach of developing, growing a market, and regulating it. So these are two very different approaches. In Pakistan, we've seen our insurance regulator taking a market development approach first. And of course, as a regulator, they have to ensure discipline, they have to ensure compliance, which is their primary role, definitely. But if a regulator is regulating a market where the insurance penetration rate is very low, such as Pakistan, then the regulator needs to take a developmental role. And that's what is happening in Pakistan right now. It's a forward looking a regulator who engages regularly with the industry. The industry is also forthcoming and playing its part in terms of supporting the regulator on the larger agenda of improving the penetration rate in Pakistan and having a Pakistan where everyone is insured. That's the direction that we are working on with the regulator. I see a lot of, and I hear and I read about the Saudi regulator, the insurance authority, where they have taken the role, a leading role in terms of growing and developing the market. And the fact that on a technical side, aspects like IFRS 17, the Saudi regulator is far ahead of many markets, but at the same time, working with the industry to develop the industry and to create an image where the Saudi insurance industry becomes a global player, attracting global players to come into the kingdom. So I think if the regulator takes that view, that country and that insurance sector and the market will definitely grow. And the insurers also then have the confidence and the comfort that the regulator is working side by side with the insurance sector rather than just working for compliance and regulatory aspects. Uh, in Pakistan, you've seen that the regulator works with us uh, to take the industry forward. And I think this is the way, if regulators start doing that, the Saudi regulator, at least from a distance, what I've seen, is also on the same path. So definitely, this whole region can benefit out of the collaboration of the insurance sector and the regulators together, taking the industry forward.
Okay, we talk about AI, the evolving of AI, how AI will impact the insurance business.
I think, as I said in the beginning, in one of the earlier conversations, that we as the insurance sector and especially we as actuaries need to make friends with AI. We need this AI needs to be our best friend. We should harness the power of AI for uh, analyzing large data sets, helping AI to make sense of what the data is saying. Uh, I see AI playing a pivotal role in the way actuaries move forward. But I will never discount the human element in this whole equation, because AI is still far away from that human element, those human sensitivities, the human judgment aspect which comes in. A lot of times we have a technical matter where two actuaries are giving their opinion, and a number of times we see those two actuaries having a different opinion on the same data set. This is something which I think the human actuary will continue to play a role and will have command on this particular aspect. But AI needs to be taken as a strong assistant to an actuary, and AI needs to be inculcated in the entire work that an actuary does, whether it's reserving, whether it's pricing, whether it's experience study. All of these require large data sets to make sense of what we're trying to do. But apart from the actuarial work, I see, and already it's happening worldwide. I think Pakistan is gradually considering adopting this, but things like insurance claims is one area I feel AI can play a big role to make sense, to analyze at least the initial information that's coming in for a claim. That claim could be a motor claim, it could be a health claim, it could be a life insurance claim, it could be a death or disability claim. So AI can play a significant role in terms of understanding what the documents are saying, what the policy terms and conditions are saying. Uh, did that event actually uh, uh, complete what the policy terms and conditions were stipulating? And then eventually the human does come into play a role there. A lot of automation in claims can happen by using AI, but a lot of automation in operational processes can happen. So I see a lot of that happening within the insurance sector, but definitely for actuaries, we need to treat AI as our strong assistant who can help us do better, faster, and in a more efficient way.
One of the emerging risks that is evolving is climate risk. How insurance companies and regulators are addressing this risk?
This is an excellent question, especially with the context of Pakistan. Now, if you would have read what's happening in Pakistan, every second year we have significant flooding happening. So Pakistan has 5 rivers. So we are basically an agriculture-driven country, where the river is the source of a lot of what we do on the agriculture side. So that's there. But then heavy rainfall, the shifting of the monsoon seasons is happening. Pakistan is home to one of the largest glaciers in the world, and the glaciers are melting at a very fast pace. And once the glaciers are melting, they feed into the river system, and hence we have flooding as well. The other phenomena which is happening in Pakistan now is urban flooding. I think globally also we've seen, Europe is one example where we've seen. I think I remember even in the Saudi Arabia, urban flooding within cities was happening due to heavy rainfall. I think 2 years ago we saw heavy rainfall in Dubai, for example, in the UAE, and that caused a lot of damage. So climate change is a reality. We know that it's happening. The way actuaries come into this picture is definitely, there's a lot of climate related data. There's a lot of models that already are in existence to predict weather patterns, to predict patterns which can affect aspects. For example, in Pakistan, again, being an agriculture country, flooding means that loss of crop. And again, that means that there is food shortage, for example, of certain crops. We have to import crops. We have to import basic items which were destroyed due to climate related events. Now, uh, And again, areas like crop insurance, for example, agriculture insurance overall, livestock insurance. Because of flooding, there's a lot of loss of livestock. Now that's where actuaries come into play. They can play, already are, they're playing a role in terms of helping insurers price those products, in terms of helping insurers determine the impact of those potential future events. So what was one in a 10-year event is now becoming one in a 5-year event, and now it's becoming one in a 2-year event. So the frequency of these events is increasing. The severity is something where a lot of these damages which happen due to climate related events are uninsured losses. At least if I talk about Pakistan. So the economic loss, if it's 30 billion, the insured loss would just be 1 billion. So that's where I think large scale government sponsored schemes related to climate insurance can come in, focusing on a country like Pakistan, focusing on crop insurance and livestock insurance to start with. Work is already being done. Pilots are being worked upon with global agencies, and I see actuaries playing a significant role in this one particular aspect. Going forward on a global scale, I believe climate related events are going to become more unpredictable. And that's where actuaries come in with large data sets and with uncertainty on the other side, combining the two together to make sense of it and to create a predictable financial impact of these events. Actuaries definitely can play a significant role in this one area alone, definitely.
Okay. Insurance companies have a reputation for saying we sell insurance, but when a claim comes, they either deny the claim or take time to pay out. Is that fair image for insurance? And as a CEO, how do you deal with this image?
So unfortunately, this is something that generally, when you look at a global scale, every now and then we see some news coming out where either the consumer court has gotten involved, the insurance company has denied a claim, and eventually, once legal forums get involved, the claim eventually gets paid out. So yes, uh, there are players globally who might have this kind of philosophy of running their business, but that, of course, is not a sustainable business practice, and that's exactly going totally against the principles of insurance. Because when we sell insurance, it's not a tangible product. We are selling, I would say, an intangible product, which is a promise that in the event of an event happening, a contingent event happening, we as an insurer promise to step in and fulfill our financial obligation. That's exactly what that piece of paper, which is the policy terms and conditions, this is exactly what that document is saying. So within EFU Life, in the end, whatever product we sell, it eventually ends up into a claim. That could be being a life and a health insurer. That can be a health insurance claim. That can be a hospitalization claim. It can be a death claim. It can be a disability claim. It can be a maturity claim as well. So we have certain standards where our turnaround times are defined upfront. There's a regulatory aspect as well, where the regulator encourages company to follow certain turnaround times. And of course, if companies don't follow that, there are penalties and other reputational impacts. But within our organization, we have stringent turnaround times where once we have all documentation available to us, depending on what the kind of claim is, the claim is paid within 1 day to 3 days. That's a standard we are following, and we still feel that this can be reduced to, for simpler claims, it can be reduced to a few hours. Why uh, delay paying a claim when it can be paid earlier once all conditions have been fulfilled? And I believe the credibility and the reputation of an insurance company generates from how swiftly and how fairly they pay claims. Uh, if a company in a market is known for delaying claims unnecessarily, eventually this will catch up. Eventually, this will catch up with their business model, and they will lose clients, and the clients will move to companies which are known for paying claims. So I don't deny that globally there are companies who do not do that. Yes, they could be players, but a credible, strong, good player would always say that the moment I'm ready to pay a claim, I have enough information to pay a claim, I should pay a claim. And that's the philosophy we use at EFU Life. And hence, we have a credibility of actually settling claims as quickly as possible and paying claims to the satisfaction of our customers, paying all genuine claims. Of course, there are frauds which happen. And once we determine it's a fraud, of course, we do not pay because, as per terms and conditions, it's not payable. But every genuine claim gets paid on time to the satisfaction of the life assured or the beneficiaries. And I think that's it. That's something which every insurer should make as one of their priorities, because that's what's sustainable long term. Definitely.
Okay. Geopolitics environment in our region is not stable. Some countries are under massive transformation, and others are facing conflict and instability. How do you see these dynamics impacting the insurance industry, both in short and long term?
So definitely, right now we are living in a world which is there are multiple conflicts going on globally, I would say, but especially in our region and closer to our region, the Middle East region and the subcontinent region. Now, companies, insurance companies, which operate globally and which have uh, uh, presence in multiple countries and including countries where there are conflicts happening, and even in countries which are indirectly impacted by such conflicts, they definitely already are revisiting the business model to the extent of maybe exiting certain markets because the long term economic impact of a conflict, whether direct or indirect, has an impact on all the businesses happening in a certain market. So I'm sure right now, with these few conflicts closer to us, which are ongoing, uh, the insurance companies in these countries and neighboring countries which are getting impacted would definitely be revisiting their business model, either to scale down or just not to expand for now, just to wait and see what's happening. Now, especially on the general insurance side, on the non-life side, business lines like marine insurance, where it's driven by global trade, and if global trade gets impacted, definitely the demand for marine insurance, for example, that gets impacted. Or if the demand doesn't get impacted, at least the price of insurance goes up, especially in high conflict areas. And again, we have seen that in the last 3 years at least, that global trade via the sea route, especially in the Middle East and the surrounding areas, that has gotten impacted. And just like 2 months ago, there were potential threats to global sea trade uh, in the Middle East region, and there was uncertainty among the insurers as well that how will the marine insurance side of things work out for them. So I think this is a time for insurers to be agile, to be cognizant of what's happening around them, and to be ready through agility, to be ready to pivot or to change their business model, even to the extent of exiting certain markets if a conflict actually impacts the business model long term. This is unfortunate in terms of what's happening globally, but it is a reality, and businesses have to operate with all the uncertainty around them. And I think the insurance sector is no different.
Okay. You look like in a good shape. And I'm assuming all CEOs need to be like that. Do you exercise a lot, or what do you do?
Yes, I mean, this is a high pressure job, and no matter what people think that, the whole day, what does the CEO actually do? Because we have, large teams doing all the work. But the fact that the final decision comes to me, and sometimes, these decisions are about people, about their careers. These decisions are about financial matters. These decisions are about huge investments into the future of the organization. And all of these things, of course, weigh you down. They weigh you down mentally. And if you are mentally under stress, it has an impact physically as well. So for me, it is very important to be mentally sharp, to physically to take care of myself. And definitely I ensure that I'm able to exercise every day. I'm able to do mental exercises just to stay clear, because when a decision comes to me, I do not want to be in a position where I take a decision without clarity of mind. And in my position, I need to be in that frame of mind all the time, because you never know when a urgent decision has to be taken. So clarity of mind has to be there. And uh, and of course, physical fitness and being physically active helps you achieve all of that. And again, when someone comes to me and asks me that, tell me some life tips. So apart from everything else, get good education, learn new things, always be a learner, all of that. I always tell them that, don't ignore yourself. Invest in yourself first, and everything else will just work out automatically. So, and again, that's something that I have started to do. Maybe early on, I was too busy with life, and I did not focus on myself. But at least, since I've had this responsibility, I feel I really need to be at the top of my game, because I have, we have an organization, EFU Life. We have around 10,000 individuals, and they're all my responsibility in the end. Whatever direction of the organization I take this organization into, with the support of my team, I am responsible for these 10,000 individuals. I am responsible for the trust the shareholders have put in me. So unless I'm in good shape mentally and physically, I will not be able to deliver. So definitely, this is a message that needs to go out to everyone. And age that doesn't really matter. Uh, Whether you're young, whether you're middle age or you're old, I think if you just spend some time of the day taking care of yourself, it's going to have long-term benefits. This is what I believe, and I already feel all of that. So, yes, I think that's mandatory. Everyone needs to do that.
Okay, what is the greatest pleasure or fun of running insurance company?
I think the satisfaction that we as an insurance company are making a social impact. I think that's the biggest satisfaction. Now, when I say social impact, all I'm saying is that if one individual or a family, uh, due to availing our insurance services, whether health insurance or life insurance, we are able to support them in a time when they need the greatest support, financial support. This is what we're offering. We are able to prevent them from going down one level into the socioeconomic pyramid. We are able to help that family maintain their lifestyle, even if, God forbid, the bread earner is no longer there. And because of the insurance claim that we paid out to that family is able to maintain their lifestyle. The children are able to continue their education. I think that's the gratifying part of everything that we do together as a team of 10,000 individuals. So the product and our service levels, our technology, our brand, all of that is important. But in the end, if it culminates into a positive social impact for Pakistan, and we're able to maintain and uplift socially families and individuals because of insurance solutions, I would say that's the greatest joy that you know helps me get a good night's sleep, because I know that because of my company and the solutions we are offering, there are hundreds and thousands of Pakistanis who are financially protected, and tomorrow we will be there to support their families if they are themselves are not there. For example, for life insurance, especially, and I think we as a management team, all 10,000 of us take pride that we are able to create this positive social impact. Uh, this I think is one of those joys of being part of the insurance sector and leading a life insurance company.
Okay, my final question. What piece of advice you would like to give actuaries, insurance CEOs, and regulators?
Okay, so I'll probably summarize a lot of points I mentioned. So maybe starting with student actuaries, this is a great profession to be in. But while you're going through your examination journey, yes, you have to balance your work, your exams, but alongside that, volunteer for non-technical things. Even small things like become part of a, I would say, a social impact organization. Go and see people who are less fortunate than you, because that's what the real world is. That's what creates a softer impact in you. That's what makes you more human. So while you are in the rush to complete your exams, because at the end of the exams you see greater rewards, and definitely, the financial reward of becoming an actuary is a significant part of our journey. But at the same time, work on yourself, work on the softer aspects of being a human, because long term that's really going to help you become a better professional overall. To people who qualify as actuaries, as I said earlier, if you want to remain in your comfort zone and you feel this is what you were destined to do, that's fine. But I think that the way the examination takes us forward, we as actuaries can create a larger impact globally by becoming business professionals, strategic business professionals. And that's all every actuary needs to consider, at least. For regulators, I think the biggest uh, suggestion I could give is to work towards the agenda of developing the market, helping the insurance industry and the insurance companies to uh, making it easy for them to take out solutions into the market, even if the regulation is stringent. And we've seen this in Pakistan. There were many things which the regulation did not allow, but the regulator was so focused on market development that they enabled the insurance industry to do a lot of things on pilot basis. We have a sandbox approach in Pakistan where new ideas go in and the regulation precedes. The regulation comes later on. So if a regulator has a market development mindset, there is no reason to doubt that this market will not move forward. Of course, compliance and discipline has to be there. That's the primary job of a regulator. But developing a market, I think, is something that if regulators focus on, the whole industry, the whole market, everyone benefits out of that. To the insurance companies, I think, as I said, if you focus on a business model where you look at creating a social impact, if that's what your vision statement says, that we are in the business of insurance to make a positive social impact, it's a very broad, open-ended statement. But everything then that you will do, right from designing a product to your marketing activities to your brand perception to investment in technology, will take you down to a path where you are saying that I'm going to make the life of the people of my country better. If that's the approach you take, everything else will just follow that. That's your strategy, effectively. And I wish insurers would take that view, because if you take that view, profits will come. Definitely, they will come. Your market penetration will happen. Uh, you will have innovation happening automatically in your organization, and all of it will come together eventually for the larger goal. So these are my sort of few cents on each of these: the student actuaries, qualified actuaries, the regulators, and the insurance companies.
Muhammad Ali, thank you so much for being with me. Thanks.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation. I hope that the viewers of this podcast are able to uh, get at least one point out of this whole 1 hour conversation. And if they're able to, if they feel this can be implemented in their organizations, in their lives, in their professional lives, I think this whole conversation and the time we spent together for 1 hour would be worth it, definitely. And I wish best of luck to you as well, especially you are one of those inspirations for this whole region, and especially for the Saudi actuaries, being the first Saudi female actuary, and in terms of what you're doing to promote the profession. I think this will go a long way in terms of inspiring many other individuals to come into the profession. So
Thank you.
excellent work from your side as well, and best of luck to you as well.
Thank you so much.